What's up, people? Welcome to Ray Reviews, where I, Ray, bring you an array of videos from the anime world and geek culture. Today I bring you my review of the anime Bungou Stray Dogs, as requested by Monster High Bigger Fan. Bungou Stray Dogs is a supernatural action comedy that currently consists of 2 seasons, which equals to a total of 24 episodes. The original source material for the show is a 12-volume manga series. This anime is made by the studio Bones, the same studio who brought you anime such as Full Metal Alchemist, Boku no Hero Academia, and Wolf's Rain. Bungou Stray Dogs is available to watch legally on Crunchyroll here in the United States, so be sure to watch it there if this show is for you. Our story begins with our protagonist, Atsushi Nakajima, on the verge of dying from starvation due to his recent eviction from his orphanage. Just when he's about to bite it, a strange man appears to be drowning in a near river. Nakajima uses what little energy he has left to rescue the stranger, and it turns out he rescues Osamu Daizai, a suicide enthusiast as well as a supernatural detective. Daizai's partner, Doppo Kunakita, shows up shortly afterwards, and they all go out for a bite to eat. During the meal, the detectives told Nakajima they are in search of a tiger that is loose on the streets of Yokohama. In a strange turn of events, the tiger is none other than Nakajima himself, even though he isn't aware of his ability to transform into a tiger. Daizai sees potential in Nakajima, and with his supernatural ability and nowhere else to go, Nakajima decides to join the detective agency with his new fellow gifted friends, to solve crimes and take down any supernatural enemies. So with a setup like that, you might be like me and imagine the show to be very episodic in nature, with short individual mysteries that somehow connect to a larger conspiracy. Yeah, no, that's not the show. At its very core, this series is a battle manga. The majority of the show focuses on the agency fighting against Port Mafia, a criminal organization who wants Nakajima because of his ability to turn into a tiger. And really the only threatening member of that group is Ryosuke Akutagawa, who basically has an invincible stand that can do whatever the writers need to do at any particular moment. Season 2 really changes things up, adding yet another evil organization called the Guild, who also want Nakajima, and they have an all-out war, which I wish was as cool as it sounds. In terms of plot, it is very thin here, just enough to connect one supernatural fight to another. I admit I was greatly disappointed in terms of the story development throughout this series, with the exception of the first part of Season 2, which focuses on events and characters before the start of Season 1. A prequel story, if you will, kind of like Fate Zero and Samurai X. The characters of this anime are just as lacking as its story, with a few exceptions as well. Nakajima is basically Shinji. He lacks confidence in anything he does and second guesses himself all the time. Just get in the damn robot, Nakajima! Daizai reminds me of a slightly nicer Aizawa. Just like him, he is too OP for the show and is very good at manipulating people. The best characters in my opinion is Kunakita, who has the power to create any object by simply writing it down in his notebook, and Rampo Edogawa, who technically doesn't have a supernatural ability but can solve any case simply by using his observation and deductive skills that put Conan to shame. Everyone else is forgettable or practically worthless. As a quick note, I thought it was neat that most of the villains from Season 2 were based off popular 20th century writers and their fictions. However, they too were just as shallow as the rest of the cast. If I had to sum up Bungou Stray Dogs' story and characters in just 2 words, it would be missed opportunity. Knowing this anime was done by Bones, I had somewhat high expectations, and they delivered the goods in this regard. If I had to describe the character designs used in the series, I would say it's a fusion between Soul Eater and Durarara, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Anyway, I thought the character art was nicely done. Another highlight of Bungou Stray Dogs would be its interesting setting. While the story does take place in modern-day Yokohama, Japan, it is more like a parallel universe's Yokohama with the incorporation of 20th century Western clothing and architecture. I couldn't help but think of the Meiji era while I was watching this series, a time period where Japan was going through a huge transition within its own country. The animation here is better than your standard TV animation budget, though I wouldn't say it's the best work Bones has done in recent years. That would be Hero Academia, of course. My favorite fight scene in the show would be during the prequel arc in Season 2, where there are plenty of one-on-one handgun battles, which I'm a total sucker for. My only complaint is that some of the characters' special abilities are kind of lame, which in turn makes some of the action sequences boring. Just more proof that its underdeveloped story and characters are really hard to overcome despite Bones' animation staff. As of the time of recording this, Bungou Stray Dogs does not have an English dub, which is a big shame since I think an English adaptation would benefit this show enormously, especially with its Western influences throughout the series. Assuming Sony will not change the prior agreements Funimation with Crunchyroll, hopefully one day we'll get an English dub for this anime. Until then, I was pleasantly happy by the performances by the Japanese voice cast. The amount of characters in this series is ridiculous, and it's amazing how much talent they got to work on the show. The list of famous Japanese actors is endless, so I'm not even going to attempt to go through them. In short, everyone's performance is outstanding. Now if only the actors got a proper script to fully develop their characters. Damn, there's its poor story and characters popping its ugly head up again. Alright, keep it together, Raiden. Just one more section. The original soundtrack, unfortunately, is too tamed for my taste. I enjoyed a few tracks that were bold enough to infuse a heavy electric guitar with a more jazzy sound. It was a nice fit considering the show's crossover with multiple cultures, but instead of those songs, the OST is background noise. To end on a more positive note, both the anime opening and ending are well executed. Maybe they're a tad bit formulaic, but don't fix what ain't broken. Surprisingly, my favorite theme song out of the bunch would be the first ending, which is different since I'm more into anime openings than endings. I guess it's just something very majestic about that ending. At the very least, I suggest checking those opening endings out for yourself. To recap, Bungou Stray Dogs' premise is a bit of a lie, with the whole detective agency angle that hardly goes anywhere. The real action plot here is bare bones to say the least. The protagonist can get annoying at times, but some supporting characters help to keep this show interesting. However, more of them are a waste of time than anything else. The unique setting of a modern, old-school tale where East meets West is cool, and the animation provided some eye candy for my eyeballs. Sadly, there's no English dub yet. However, the Japanese talent in this show is downright amazing. The soundtrack falls short with a few exceptions, including the show's opening and ending theme songs. So with all that in mind, based off my own enjoyment and preferences, I give Bungou Stray Dogs a 2 out of 5 and a recommendation to skip it. I'm a person who is all about story and characters, and frankly, I struggled to finish the show due to its underdeveloped plot and unnecessary characters, despite its high marks in almost everything else. For the record, because I'm fairly sure I'm going to get some flack for not recommending this anime, since it has like an 8 on my anime list, I honestly don't hate this show. If I had to name one overall feeling after watching the show, it would be disappointed. I know that sounds cliche, but that's how I honestly feel. And for better or worse, that is the one thing you'll always find on this channel. My honest opinion, even if it goes against the popular norm. But hey, this review is just that, one person's opinion. Did you enjoy Bungou Stray Dogs? Then by all means, leave me your thoughts and questions down below in the comments section. While you're down there, feel free to leave me any requests you might have, and I'll try to make it happen. But fair warning, you might not like what I have to say. If you still somehow manage to like me after all this, and what I do here, please share this video amongst your friends, and hit that like and subscribe button. That stuff really does help me out, and I truly appreciate all the help that I can get. Look me up on social media if you're into that kind of thing. And last, but most importantly, thank you so much for watching. I was Ray, and I'll see you guys again on the next episode of Ray Reviews.